Cable Prep Football Game of the Week. Good evening, I'm Ken Trahan along with Steve Barrios. Thank you for joining us here this evening. We think we've got an outstanding game in store for you as the Archbishop Rummel Raiders battle the Jesuit Blue Jays. Steve, these are teams that are similar in stature, similar in the one-loss column as well.
Certainly are, Kenny. They're very similar. Both teams returning 11 starters. Both teams playing very tough competition early, and it should be a very good game tonight.
Yeah, both teams' records probably not reflective of the type of teams that they are because of the competition they've played. 6 top 10 teams dot the schedules of both teams to date. The third member of our broadcast party here this evening is down on the field, and he is Lance Jacob.
Thanks, gentlemen. A great District 5A clash tonight. The 4-2 Jesuit Blue Jays against the 3-3 Rummel Raiders. Now, Jesuit comes into this game trying to avenge the 42-7 loss last year. A little bit of rain earlier, a lot of rain actually, but the field's in excellent shape. Should be a good ball game on our hands. We'll take it right back up to you upstairs.
All right, thank you very much, Lance and Steve. The kickoff coming up soon. Key to the game here this evening, the line of scrimmage. Both teams would like to run the football.
Really, they come in here with 2 excellent running backs on both teams. They're going to try to dominate or control the line of scrimmage.
Jimmy Quito, we're looking at right now, gained over 150 yards a week ago. Very tough runner and an outstanding high school running back.
He really is. He scored 4 touchdowns last week, 2 running and on 2 receptions also.
Now, the Jesuit Blue Jays have an outstanding running back of their own, a couple, in fact, but one of those is Todd Galemi, who's a very fine football player.
He is. He's a good, tough runner. He runs inside well. He's got good speed to get outside, so we're going to see a lot of good running tonight.
All right, we'll be back with the opening kickoff here from Tag Gormley Stadium in just a moment on the WSMB Cox Cable Prep Football Game of the Week. Ken Trahan, Steve Barrios, Lance Jacob, live from Tag Gormley Stadium. We thank you for joining us here this evening on the WSMB 1350 AM Cox Cable Prep Football Game of the Week. Jesuit has indeed won the toss. They have elected to receive. Rummel kicks off to defend the south goal line. Rummel dressed in their white jerseys, red numerals, and sky blue pants with red headgear. Jesuit, the home team, the blue helmets, the blue uniforms, white numerals, and white pants as well. Jimmy Quito, who does it all, is getting set to kick it off for Rummel. This guy is all over the place, and you'll hear his name called a lot here this evening. And the Blue Jays set to receive. We are underway. Quito gets into it, hits it short, bobbled by a short man, and picked up finally by another short man to the 25, up to the 29, breaking a tackle across the 35 and to the 40-yard line on an outstanding return on that play. It appeared to be for Jesuit, number 44, and that was Colin Berthoud. So it will be a first down and 10 to go for Jesuit. As we look at the Jesuit offensive front, Cola, Tomlinson, Rigby, Kitchen, Bubrick, those two are outstanding. Edrington is the tight end for the Blue Jays. The quarterback is Brian Saunders. He's under center on first down. And running left, going nowhere with the football is Ricky Roniger. He was stopped immediately. In fact, in the backfield before he could get started. Mike Ryan penetrating, an outstanding safety. Billy Barron had penetration as well. You'll hear those names a lot, Steve. Barron is a blue-chip prospect at 6'5", 260 pounds. Ryan, the son of George Ryan, the longtime coach at Rummel.
Rummel that time, good penetration, you said, Ken, right at the line of scrimmage. The play had no chance of developing.
On second down, Roniger is the one back behind the quarterback Saunders in motion. Brett Kreller. The give is to Roniger, running right this time. Roniger finds a little running room across the 40 and out to the 44-yard line before he is brought down on the play by number 30, Emil Van Halen. Here's the defensive front for Rummel. Gesser, Billy Barron, Mike Landry, and Toby Dempsey, another famous name, the son of Tom Dempsey. The linebackers, Jason Sauché, along with Edler and Glass, while the secondary has Nicole, O'Brien, Ryan, as we mentioned, and Tarn Chevis. Great name. Third down, about 7 yards to go for Jesuit, their own 44-yard line. They fake the run. Saunders rolling right, wants to throw. Now is going to run. He's across midfield and close to a first down in the Rummel territory at about the 49-yard line. That's awfully close to first down territory, Steve.
Saunders did a good job that time, Ken. He looked downfield, wanted to throw, nobody open. He saw a little seam right along the sideline, turned it up, picked up a block, and picked up the first down.
Got it by about a half a yard, so a nice job by Brian Saunders of getting the first down. This Jesuit team threw a lot last year. They're not throwing as much this year. They've had a little bit more success operating this way. Saunders threw for 1 score and ran for another in the win over Kennedy a week ago when he was 3 for 8 for 39 yards with a touchdown in that ball game. On first and 10, the counter play. Here's Roniger. Roniger finds running room across the 40 and down to about the 36-yard line. It's the slow walking eye look, and Jesuit allowing the blocks to develop. And that time they blew the hole open before Tarn-Shevis can make the stop, and it's a first down Blue Jays at the Rummel 37-yard line.
Good-looking play. It almost looks like they're going in slow motion, like they're really confused about what's happening, but all the while it's just a slow developing play. Good blocking up front. Roniger picked this hole well.
All right, so a first down, 10 yards to go now from the 37-yard line. And the pitch again to Roniger, running left. Roniger cuts it inside, gets a great block, and he's down to about the 31-yard line. Great kickoff block. Really sprung him initially, as Jesuit is really opening some holes here. Brian Glass, the strong outside linebacker, is finally able to make the stop.
Brett Keller threw a good kick-out block, defensive end from Rummel trying to come in. Keller kicked him out. Again, a nice run by Roniger.
Yeah, Kreller's 5'10", 160, a junior, and used as a blocking back in that situation. Second down, about 4 yards to go. Again, Roniger running right, cuts it inside, breaks a tackle, fights across the 30 and down to about the 29-yard line. Good tough running there because Jeff Russo was in his path to make the stop. Russo, good size at linebacker. He's 6'1", 210, and a good football player, just a junior. Short of a first down, a gain of 2. It will be 3rd and 2 for the Blue Jays from the 29-yard line. Just underway, 8:55 to play. First quarter, no score, Rummel and Jesuit. Ken Trahan along with Steve Barrios, Lance Jacob down on the field. Thank you for joining us this evening. Our Jesuit sends 3 receivers to the left side of the field on 3rd down and 2 yards to go. Motion to the right side now. And they give off the right side for apparent first down yardage to the 26, Roniger again. Before Jeff Russo can make the stop, he looks like he has enough for the first down. And does. By about a yard. At the 25, first down, Blue Jays. This is something that they wanted to do. We talked with Mark Sanji before the game, Steve, and they felt like they could run right at Rummel.
That's going to be his philosophy coming in. Just run the football, try to penetrate, keep ball control, and interesting formations here, Ken.
3 receivers to the left side. Once again, Thompson and Roberts are split left on first down to give to Roniger. Inside, breaks a tackle and fights his way down to about the 22-yard line. Good tough running by Ricky Roniger. Part of the 1-2 punch for Jesuit. Emil Van Halen is able to make the stop. Now they're running inside quite a bit, and that's not easy to do when you have Billy Barron.
Again, Roniger just doing a good job, I think, waiting for something to happen when he gets the football, and that's the mark of a good back, having vision, being able to see what's happening in front of you, picking your holes, and making something go.
Gain of 4, 2nd and 6 from the 22. Motion to the right side, now back to the left by Kreller. And they'll run right. Roniger, this time short yardage to about the 20, a gain of 2. That time the hole closing pretty quickly as Rummel had some people there defensively, led by Toby Dempsey, who made the stop. Toby is a 5'11", 175-pound senior, a returning starter, and as we mentioned, the son of former Saints place kicker Tom Dempsey, who is here watching in attendance this evening.
Really turned out to be a nice evening. It was raining earlier, but the rain has stopped.
See Dempsey able to make the stop on that play, and now on 3rd down and 4, whistles blow. The officials are stepping in here. And an illegal procedure call against Jesuit. Boy, don't know what it was specifically, but that hurts. From 3rd and 4, you go to 3rd and 9 now, and the ball will be spotted back at the 25-yard line. And the referee this evening is Roy Hoffman, one of the great officials here and great in New Orleans area. Good and great man, good friend, and works with me as well outside of here. 3rd down and 9 yards to go. Rolling to the left, Saunders gets a block. In trouble now, is going to be hit, and he's going to go down. The pressure defensively applied by David Gesser, 95. Gesser with the sack, the 6'2", 200-pound senior makes the play on Saunders. And Steve, as it turns out, the penalty really hurt.
It really did. You had your momentum going. Here you see the quarterback rolling out. Gesser comes in. He read the play beautifully, came up, made a nice open field tackle on the quarterback. But as you said, Kenny, the penalty hurt. Looks like they're going to try for a field goal.
Well, Pat Neely is in to try what apparently would be a 48-yard field goal, but a timeout on the field first will be taken. So we'll take timeout as well. 6:24 to play first quarter. No score from Tad Gormley Stadium. This is the WSMB 1350 AM Cox Cable Prep Football Game of the Week.
At Phone Ford in New Orleans, we turned our emergency into your advantage. Now the street at Bone Ford in New Orleans at South Broad in Washington is clear, and Bone Ford is easy to get to. But the sale's not over. Every car will be drastically reduced. Every truck will have big savings. And on every van, you'll save more. Bring your title, special financing, appraisers on duty. Selection is big, so come to the original Bone Ford in New Orleans. Buy with confidence. Buy at Bone Ford, your 15-minute dealership in New Orleans. Bone Ford.
Ken Trahan, Steve Barrios, Lance Jacob from Tag Gormley Stadium. Mark Sanji, the Jesuit coach in his first year. And he's going to be a good one. Most people think very highly of Mark Sanji. It's going to be a 4th down and 15 yards to go now for Jesuit, and they have changed their mind and will go for it now from the 31-yard line. All right, on 4th down, Saunders with a play fake. Back in the pocket to throw, throwing deep toward the end zone, and it's going to be incomplete. Tipped away at the last possible second by Michael O'Brien, the free safety, and the ball will go over on downs to the Rummel Raiders, who have held.
Jesuit going deep that time. O'Brien did a good job breaking it up, but the ball, I think, may have gone off the Jesuit receiver's hands after it was deflected by O'Brien. Big break for Rummel.
All right, the Archbishop Rummel Raiders with the football for the first time. 1st and 10, their own 31. The quarterback is Rick Collada, a very talented junior. Keep an eye on him. It's the wing T offense. And the give is straight ahead to Harvey. Harvey is across the 30 and out to about the 33-yard line. And we get a look at the Rummel offensive front. Not a big front. Porsche, Abel, McGinnis, the center, is outstanding. Astigue, Baylash, and Russo, the tight end. Rick Collada, the quarterback, is talented. Christian Harvey, who carried that time. Phil DeSalvo is the fullback, and Jimmy Quito, the wingback, is a man to watch. 2nd down, 8 yards to go. The 33-yard line for the Raiders. Collada, the quarterback, with a man in motion. He gets the ball. Quito running left, has speed. 35, Quito to the 40. Quito running hard across the 45 and out to the 49. Has a first down. Jimmy Quito for about 15 yards before Will Murphy, the outstanding cornerback, can bring him down. Steve, he's quite quick, but this was a well-designed play. They had him outmanned to that side of the field.
They really did. They had the blocking scheme down well. Quito showing good speed once he gets around the initial flow of the defenders. Turns on the speed, picks up a first down. Very well executed play by the Rummel Raiders.
Quito is 4th in the 5A classification citywide in scoring with 59 points, and a leading rusher on this team. 1st and 10, their own 48. The give to Harvey, trying to get outside, gets a block. He's at midfield. Harvey is down to about the 45-yard line before he's run out of bounds there by Marcus Scott and Ben Tarantino. The Jesuit defensive front is a good one. Weiss, Wainwright, Parrish is outstanding, and Trepanier Bonner. The linebackers include Ranieri, Tanner Tridico, Marchand Kenny. Those two are really good. Kenny, a top college prospect. Mike Breeden is the other linebacker, with Murphy, the best man in the secondary, along with Scott and Tarantino. 2nd down, 4 yards to go. The 45-yard line, Jesuit territory for Rummel. Again, a man in motion is Quito. Rolling to our side of the field is Collada. Collada still rolling. Now will keep. He's at the 45. He's knocked out of bounds at about the 41-yard line hard, but he appears to have enough yardage for the first down. Bumped out of bounds hard by Eugene Ranieri, but a good job of Quito of apparently getting the first down. He does. First down for Rummel. Rick Collada, the quarterback, doing the job.
Collada, a good athlete, Ken. That's the thing I think that makes him so dangerous. He's got good running ability, has a good arm. When you have a good athlete at quarterback, a lot of good things can happen for your offense.
His father was a very fine player at Holy Cross years ago. And now the son, Rick Collada, having good success at Rummel. Double wing formation here on first down from the 42-yard line. Harvey now in motion to the right side. They give straight ahead. That's DeSalvo. Nothing there. Maybe a yard, and that's all as they try to run off the right side. And that's where Ryan Parrish was waiting for him. Parrish, 5'11", 250. He's tough to move, a returning starter. Here's a guy, Parrish, that came into this game with 6 sacks overall, including 3 last week against Kennedy. Gain of 1 on the play. It will be 2nd down and 9 yards to go. Raiders up to the line of scrimmage. McGinnis over the ball with 4 minutes to play in the first quarter and no score. Collada barking signals. Again, Harvey in motion. Off the fake, Collada wants to throw. Has the pass tipped as he's hit and knocked hard to the ground. He just didn't have the time because of great pressure by 96 Sean Weiss, the right defensive end. Good play action by Collada, but Weiss with good pressure.
I was about to say the play starts off real well because Collada does a good job of faking, hiding the football, When he turns, though, to throw, the big pressure was there. The ball was deflected. Good penetration by the Jesuit Blue Jays.
So on the incomplete pass, it will be 3rd down and 9 yards to go. Raiders from the Blue Jay 41-yard line. And receivers to either side of the field now for the Raiders. Collada with a straight drop back. Steps up now. He's going to run. Look out. 40, 35. Look at the speed. 30, 25. Collada out of bounds at about the 19-yard line. First down for Rummel. 19-yard run by Rick Collada.
As the play started out, Jesuit does a good job in their secondary. Collada setting up, wanting to throw, looks downfield, nobody open. Then he feels the pressure. And this is what I mentioned about being a good athlete. Look at him when he starts to run. You can see that he's got great athletic ability. He runs like a scat bag. Does a good job picking up the first down.
Ben Tarantino knocks him out of bounds, but a 22-yard run for Collada. The Raiders are threatening at the Blue Jay 19-yard line. Twin backs behind Collada. The give is to DeSalvo rather than a Harvey running right. Harvey is across the 20, down to about the 17-yard line. Christian Harvey runs into Ryan Parrish after a pickup of about 2 yards. Running behind the right side of that offensive line with Astague and Baylash. Russo, the tight end over there. It will be 2nd down at about 8.
Now, you don't see many teams run this type of offense, but the thing that it has going for it, the misdirection, the counters, it could be very difficult to defend when it's run and executed well. Looks like Rummel's going to take a timeout.
Hi, the Raiders will take timeout. Timeout on the field with 3:12 to play first quarter. Here's our score. Jesuit nothing and Rummel nothing. This is the WSMB 1350 AM Cox Cable Prep Football Game of the Week.
At the Pontchartrain Center in Kenner, 5 cents goes a long way. The Pontchartrain Center has over 35,000 square feet of exhibit space and 6 spacious meeting rooms, all for just 5 cents a square foot. If you're looking for a place to hold your next convention, meeting, seminar, or banquet, Kenner's Pontchartrain Center is New Orleans' newest meeting alternative. All meal functions are catered by Marie's to assure the finest in banquet cuisine. If you're looking for a quality convention or meeting facility with affordable rates, call the Pontchartrain Center in Kenner.
3:12 to play here in the first quarter. Ken Trahan, Steve Barrios, Lance Jacob. We'll hear from Lance in just a moment. No score, Rummel Jesuit. Raiders play a 2nd and 9 from the Blue Jay 18-yard line. Collada sends Quito in motion. On the option, bad pitch, it's a fumble loose, and it goes out of bounds at about the 26-yard line. That'll be a big loss. Ken Trahan, Steve Barrios, and Lance Jacob. Bad pitch by Collada as they just tried to run an option play. It went out of bounds. Rummel will retain possession, but a big loss on the play, Steve.
It really was. The first option play we've seen him run tonight, the pitch goes awry, but let's credit the Jesuit front defensive lineman doing a good job getting in and penetrating.
All right, let's go downfield level now for this report from Lance Jacob.
Thanks a lot, Ken. Both teams enjoying success running the football. On that previous possession by Jesuit, they actually stopped themselves. The center picked up the ball. That was the reason for the penalty. Back to the action. Up to you, Ken.
3rd down and 17 yards to go for Rummel from the Jesuit 26. Collada wants to throw. He's in major trouble and down. Sacked way back at about the 36-yard line. Great pressure defensively. Tanner Tritico gets the sack, the outstanding inside linebacker.
Okay, it's going to be a pass all the way, but there is just no protection. Collada's just swarmed as he tried to roll out to his left, looking for someone downfield. Again, 2 plays in a row, we've seen the Jesuit defense just come across and totally dominate the line of scrimmage.
Terry Urson also on the stop for Jesuit. It'll be 4th down and an acre for Rummel in a punting situation. Iquito with the punt. Gonna bounce at about the 15-yard line. Going sideways, now gets a Rummel bounce and goes inside the 10 and will be down at about the 9-yard line. So a good effective kick by Jimmy Quito. And the Blue Jays will take over 1st and 10 from their own 9-yard line with 2:19 to play in the quarter, no score.
Rummel had quite an impressive drive going. They get down and they bog down, but let's credit again the Jesuit defense coming up with some big plays, throwing the quarterback Collada for 2 losses.
1st down and 10 yards to go. Blue Jays from the 14 officially. They moved that football up to the 14, so it's at the 14-yard line, 1st and 10 from that point. Split backs, and they give to the second man through. That apparently is Todd Galemi, who's in there on this particular series. And he's an outstanding young player. Galemi is a 5'11", 180-pound sophomore, 10th in the city in rushing, as we get a good look at Todd Galemi, who's a very fine player.
Lead play following the blocking of his fullback, Good job on the line of scrimmage. Nice pickup, first down, 5 yards.
2nd and 5, Tomlinson and Rigby with a big block there on Barrett. All right, the power I formation for Jesuit, and they give to the I-back again, this time across the 20 and out to the 23-yard line. Getting yet closer to the first down. Appeared to be Kreller. And it will be 3rd down for the Blue Jays, about a yard to go. That was Roniger, actually. Roniger was in, and he came out. So it will be 3rd down and 1 yard to go for the Blue Jays. And again, the power I formation behind Ryan Saunders. Rummel with a blitz action here, but Galemi off the left tackle is close. Depends on where they spot the ball. It's going to be awfully close.
Mike Ryan coming up on an all-out blitz. Tried to time his blitz, and he did a good job of it. I think they're going to have to measure for this one.
They will. Brian Glass was able to make the stop. He finds strong side linebacker, second leading tackler on the Raiders squad, and they will have to measure. It is that close here. Under a minute to play first quarter, no score. Jesuit sideline. Coach is giving players instructions, and Jesuit is short. They are short by about a foot and a half. It's that close, but the Blue Jays can't gamble here, Steve. They'll have to punt it away.
No. Good defensive stop. The blitz paid off for the Rummel Raiders. And now we're going to have another change of possession with a punt by the Jesuit Blue Jays.
It's a punting situation. Pat Neely handles all place kicking duties for the Blue Jays. Mike Ryan is back to return it for Rummel, but first we're going to have a timeout called, I believe. Timeout called on the field, so we'll take timeout as well with 54 seconds to play first quarter. No score, Jesuit and Rummel. This is the WSMB 1350 AM Cox Cable Prep Football Game of the Week.
This fall, there's a new force in local sports. Friday Night Football, hosted by Ed Daniels and J.T. Curtis, Louisiana's winningest prep football coach. The only place for Big Easy sports fans to catch the complete high school football story.
For 15 weeks, all the way to the state championship finals at the Dome, we'll bring you the most complete coverage of prep football in the state.
Friday Night Football, live, Friday nights at 10:30 on WGNO TV, Channel 26.
54 seconds to play first quarter. Mark Sanji conferring with his team as they head back onto the field. 4th down and 1 yard to go. Mark Sanji, the first-year head coach here at Jesuit. Mike Ryan drops deep to receive the punt as the Jesuit cheerleaders try to get their side pumped up. Neely to punt it away. Good snap. Ken Trahan, Steve Barrios. The punt by Neely is outstanding. Drives Ryan to his 25. Breaks a tackle to the 35, the 40. Look out! 45 breaks another tackle. Cuts inside and goes down in Jesuit territory at about the 46-yard line. Mike Ryan, an outstanding athlete with a fine return here. Of course, Ryan is the son of longtime Rummel coach George Ryan, who has to be very proud. And the Rummel Raiders have outstanding field position following a big return by Mike Ryan.
Nice job by Ryan making the catch and following with his blockers. But Ken, he did a lot on his own. He broke 2 tackles on that punt return.
Tanner Tridico able to make the stop for Jesuit, but the Raiders, 39 seconds to play in the quarter. Rick Collada, the quarterback, sets him down. Good field position at the Jays 46. The give is to the wingback, Quito, trying to get outside, gets a block. 45, stiff arm, a flag down, and Quito's down inside the 40 at about the 39, but hold everything. I believe they might have Desidue for holding.
Either holding or, I don't think it was a clip, but it probably was holding at the line of scrimmage. A lot of people pushing and shoving out there.
So it will be holding against the Raiders, and the football is going to be marched back into Rummel territory to about the 45-yard line. So take away the good run by Quito. Holding penalty sets him back 10. It will be first down and 20.
Kind of a pretty classic example here of size versus speed.
Yeah, the Rummel offensive front is not big. 185, 177, 220, 180, 218. That's just mediocre to not so good a size. They had a big line last year. They rely on technique. Quito in motion to the right side, has the football running right. Quito hit and drop. Good defense that time by the Blue Jays. Marchant Kenny came up for Jesuit. And also in on the stop for the Blue Jays was Ryan Parrish. Good job defensively by Jesuit. Not much running room here.
It's a misdirection counter, but the size of the down linemen for Jesuit were able to disrupt the play. As you said, Kenny, this offense relies a lot on technique, misdirection, etc.
Gain of 1 on the play as our first quarter comes to a close at Tad Gormley Stadium. And at the end of 1 quarter of play, here's our score. The Rummel Raiders, nothing. The Jesuit Blue Jays, nothing. This is the WSMB 1350 AM Cox Cable Prep Football Game of the Week.
At Bone Ford in New Orleans, we turned our emergency into your advantage. Now the street at Bone Ford in New Orleans at South Broad in Washington is clear, and Bone Ford is easy to get to. But the sale's not over. Every car will be drastically reduced. Every truck will have big savings. And on every van, you'll save more. Bring your title, special financing, appraisers on duty. Selection is big, so come to the original Bone Ford in New Orleans. Buy with confidence. Buy at Bone Ford, your 15-minute dealership in New Orleans. Bone Ford.
Back to action on second down, 20 yards to go. Rick Collada attempting a pass deep over the middle of Jimmy Quito, incomplete. So it will be third down and 20 for the Raiders from their own 45-yard line. Second quarter just underway, no score from Tad Gormley Stadium. Shotgun formation, Collada wants to throw. Steps up, throws left sideline. Nice throw, has his man. Caught in Jesuit territory by Joey Desidue, the split end. Will Murphy is able to make the stop for the Blue Jays, but he is short of a first down by about 8 yards. So it's a punting situation for the Rummel Raiders.
Collada really took a shot, Ken, on that play. Did a good job staying in the pocket, waiting for the last second to throw.
Quito will punt it away for Rummel. It's a wobbly kick. Fielded back at the 13-yard line. And getting through some players. There are flags down. Look out. This one may come back, but a big return. And out of bounds finally near midfield on the outstanding return was Marcus Scott. Scott with a big return, but flags are everywhere, and that's got to work against Jesuit, I do believe.
Obviously, it's going to be a clipping call, but what a nice return by Scott. Trying to use his blockers well. Referee's bringing it back.
Quito made the stop, and we have a chance on a replay to see the return ourselves. Let's see if we can pick up the penalty, Steve.
Scott coming, trying to get to the wall on the outside. There you see the clip thrown right around the 20-yard line.
For our listeners on radio, of course, they can't see it, but we saw it for you fine, and it was there. And the penalty is going to be half the distance to the goal, and Jesuit will have to start from deep in its own territory at the 6-yard line. Tricky situation there. That's the soup, so to speak, offensively, as we will see what happens here. High formation behind Saunders on first down. Power I. The give running left and hit in the backfield and drop back at the 2-yard line was Brett Preller by Mike Ryan, who came up to force quickly from his safety spot. I love to watch this kid play.
Well, we saw Ryan on the other blitz earlier. Did a good job again, blitzing in and making contact.
All right, let's go down field level now for this report from Lance Jacob.
Thanks, Ken. Just very quickly on the sidelines here on the Jesuit side, Coach Mark Sonji really getting in the face of his offensive lineman. He was very upset they didn't pick up the 3rd and 1. So look for the offensive lineman to try and pick it up if Mark Sonji's going to be happy with him. Go back up to you, Ken.
2nd and 12 from the 4, trying to get outside, but not able to get there. On the carry was Todd Galemi. Galemi spilled at about the 5-yard line. He did pick up a couple, but it will be 3rd down and long as Tarn Shevis came up to make a nice open field tackle.
You said it, Ken. Galemi getting ready to try to get outside. He had a lot of real estate, but Shevis cutting down an ankle tackle, saved some big yardage being gained by the Blue Jays.
So it's 3rd down now for the Blue Jays. 11 yards to go from the 4-yard line. The splitbacks behind Saunders this time. 10 minutes to play, second quarter, no score. Saunders gives to Galemi, running right. Galemi with a flag down is out at about the 10-yard line. Mike Ryan is able to make the stop once again. This time he had help from Sean Dara, but again a flag likely against Jesuit, and if so, Rummel will decline it because they'll get the football.
Good possibility, a holding call coming up against the interior line of Blue Jays.
by holding on Jesuit the call, and Rummel, I'm sure, will decline it here because they'll get the football. So it will be 4th down as Rummel declines the penalty. And the Jays will have to kick it away. Tough spot for Pat Neely. He had an excellent punt his first time. You know, last week, Steve, he averaged 40 yards on 3 punts, so he has a very fine leg.
That's a great average. Rummel, barring a turnover or penalty, should come out of this with excellent field position.
George Ryan looks on, watching his son from the Rummel sideline. Of course, the Raiders are coached by Mark Martin in his second year, a record of 9-8. Flags everywhere, and Jesuit may have taken too much time.
They did. Took a long time to get the punt team on the field. Now they're going to be penalized half the distance to go for delay of game.
That'll put the ball at the 5-yard line, make it even tougher now for Pat Neely. Mike Ryan, the omnipresent one, will be deep to receive for the Raiders, standing at about the Jesuit 42. Rummel with a 10-man line. Let's see if they're coming here. Neely handles the snap and gets it off low. He'll get a bounce, though, and Ryan will just have to watch it. Goes sideways, and this will turn out to be effective for Jesuit. Down at the Blue Jay 42-yard line. Nothing Ryan could do about that. He made the right decision to get out of the way on the low kick by Neely.
It was a low kick. Neely had to rush his punt. He only had about 10 yards from the snapper to get the punt off. Did a good job, rushed it, low knuckleball kind of kick, and Jesuit will come out, Rummel will come out with good field position.
So for the second straight time, Rummel has very good field position. They have Ryan Flanagan in at wide receiver. Now keep in mind, he's a quarterback as well for Rummel. He's split wide to the right. Collada on first down, drops to throw. Heavy pressure, gets away from one man. Still rolling, cuts back inside. Look at the change in direction, but he's hit hard and dragged down near the line of scrimmage. That's Tanner Tridico, 99, really putting Collada to the turf hard, and he gets up slowly.
Tridico made a couple of big plays. That was a good open field tackle. As Collada sets up, he wants to throw. He looked downfield, no one open. Pressure comes in, he starts to run, he scrambled around, and finally Tridico just cut him down as he was trying to cut back against the grain.
Tridico defensively with help from Sean Weiss, 96. A loss of one officially, 2nd and 11 from the 41. Collada again wants to throw. Collada looks in the flat, has his man Quito. He's bumped hard, breaks a tackle, but goes down to the 46 for another loss. The Blue Jays reacting well defensively. 25, Travis Bonifasic, along with 49, Marshad Kenny to stop the play.
The Jesuit defense really dominating the Rummel offensive line. Rummel now trying to go to the passing game, trying to negate the big rush by the Jesuit Blue Jays. Just a good effort by the secondary and defensive line of Jesuit to shut down the Rummel Raiders.
Well, the Raiders came out wanting to throw on this series, and it hasn't worked. They've lost 5 yards on 2 plays. It's 3rd and 15 now. From the 46-yard line, Collada with the snap will run the end around to Desidue. He's stuffed for a big loss. Desidue shut down by Sean Weiss, who stayed home to make the play.
That's the key, Ken. He stayed home. A lot of times with a team that's really fired up defensively, you can get him over pursuing. This time, as they tried to run the reverse, he wouldn't have anything to do with it. Stayed home, fought through a block, and made the stop.
Jimmy Quito will punt for Rummel. Marcus Scott is deep to receive. Low snap. Quito picks it up on a bounce and hits a wobbly high kick. It's going to bounce at about the 20, goes sideways and takes a Jesuit bounce, and Rummel hasn't down it yet. And they finally do at the 30, and the Raiders with a poor job there of getting that ball down, Steve. They lost about 9 yards in transition as the ball backed up.
The field is a little wet, and as the Rummel punt coverage team got down there, the ball started to kick back towards the punter. A few players slipped trying to get to the football. As you said, it rolled back about almost 10 yards from the way it hit the ground.
So the Blue Jays come out with much better field position at their own 30 on this possession. First down and 10 yards to go. Golemi is the single setback. He gets the football, breaking tackles across the 35 to about the 39 for a gain of about 9 before Jack Nicole can bring him down.
Again, another slow developing play. Golemi takes the ball deep in the eye position, and then he just kind of waits to see what develops at the line of scrimmage. A big hole does suddenly popped open between the guard and center. He cuts right through and picks up 9.
Second down, 1 yard to go for the Blue Jays from the 40-yard line. Again, they give to Galemi, and this time he gets it across the 40, close to a first down near the 41-yard line. And he's got his first down. First down, Jesuit, with 6:45 to play in a rapidly moving first half.
Well, a lot of running. Jesuit going almost exclusively to their running game, their inside game between the tackles, having success picking up another first down.
Blue Jays break the huddle, and they send 3 receivers to the right side. This is something we expected from Jesuit.
Call it the quad formation.
They give to Galemi, running left, boxed in and brought down on a very nice play by Jeff Russo, the good-looking 6'2", 210-pound junior. Russo made the read and then did not go for any fakes from Galemi.
Galemi's a pretty tricky ball carrier, but Russo just stood his ground. He had him in the open field and made a nice open field tackle.
So a loss of 2, it will be 2nd and 12. Jesuit from its own 39. Again, the 3 receivers to the right side of the field, drawing man coverage. Motion again by Kreller. Now back the other way. And rolling that way is Saunders. Stops, looks in the flat, it's overthrown. Tried to get it to Kreller, who came across the formation. Had a couple of steps, but the pass was too tall from Saunders. And it will be 3rd down and 11 yards to go from the 39-yard line.
Saunders really got some heat that time from the interior of the Rummel line. He was forced to throw it way before he wanted to, and that's why the ball went high over the head of the intended receiver out in the flat.
So from the 39-yard line, 3rd down, 11 yards to go for Jesuit. Again, the 3 receivers to the right side of the field, the far side. Saunders, the quarterback, rolling that way. Saunders gets a block. Saunders wants to run. Saunders is going to be dumped for a loss. Hit hard and driven back as the Raider defense was there and waiting. Mike Ryan is there. Toby Dempsey is there. Brian Glass is there. Michael O'Brien is there.
All you can say is that the Raiders did a good job with stringing that play out. They kept forcing the quarterback to go wide, and finally they just were able to get him with the pursuit. A good defensive series by the Rummel Raiders.
It's becoming a punting duel. Neely will punt to Ryan once again. 10-man line for Rummel. Low snap. Neely has it and barely gets it off. I don't know how he got it off. Ryan on the run. 35, dragged down nicely at about the 38. Nice tackle in the open field there for Jesuit by 89, Richard Edrington, the tight end, and it will be 1st and 10 for the Raiders from their own 38. With 5:01 to play first half, we still have no score.
You know, special teams takes up about 25% of a football game. Tonight we're seeing some excellent special teams play by both of these teams, punting, punt coverage, and returns.
The Raiders have struggled with great field position on their last 2 possessions, and they have twin receivers to either side of the field. On first down, James Smith is the running back this time, and Collada is rolling out. Stops, looks, throws over the middle, intercepted! This could go the distance. 35, cuts back and down to the 30-yard line on the interception with a big play for Jesuit. See if we can pick it out. There he is right there. 38, Eugene Ranieri. Ranieri with the interception on the far side of the field. First turnover of the game benefits the Blue Jays.
Collada really didn't see him. He was rolling out to his right, trying to get the flow going with a little misdirection. But as he throws, he did not see the linebacker at all. Threw it right to him, hit him right in the numbers, and makes a nice return.
Yeah, he was a spy there on the play. Collada saw man coverage and saw his man open, but Ranieri with a great job. Here's Saunders, counter option. Running left, cuts it back in to about the 27-yard line. Pickup of 2 or 3 on the play. Jack Nicole makes the stop. Now, we have not called Billy Barron's name yet here this evening. The blue chip prospect, defensive lineman, drawing a lot of attention at 6'5", 265, a senior, and a state champion in track and field as well.
Quite a young athlete. Jesuit doing a good job containing him.
That's Rigby, Tomlinson, Kitchen, Bubrik, and Kola, a good offensive line. We'll check in with Lance Jacob in just a moment. 2nd down, 7 yards to go. Jays at the 28. Again, the option. This time the pitch. A flag is down. Cutting it inside. 25, 20, 15, 10. And down out of bounds at about the 3-yard line is Rodiger near the goal line, but there is a flag down near the line of scrimmage. So that might work against Jesuit for holding, and it will.
He's going to bring it back. Holding going to be called against Jesuit. Beautiful play, Ken. Well executed. A little counter option. Great blocking on the left side of the line, but someone was holding.
So the big run by Rodiger is negated by the penalty.
Roniger did an excellent job on that run, waiting for the blocks to develop, picking up his blockers. And I think the holding actually occurred away from the ball on the opposite side of the center.
Flag was thrown in the center of the field, so you are correct in that assumption, I would presume. They're going to mark this football back. Oh, now there's another major penalty of 15 yards, an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty against Jesuit. Obviously, some very upset Blue Jays out there. And boy, that's a double whammy. They get the holding penalty, then 15 more, and when it's all said and done, the line of scrimmage is going to be the Jesuit 48-yard line. Boy, oh boy. So Jesuit 32 yards from a first down, second and 32 officially from their own 48. We will check in with Lance Jacob here right after this play. Saunders, the quarterback, gives it straight ahead, short yardage, maybe a yard, and that's all. Let's go down field level now. Here's Lance Jacob.
And Steve, you're exactly correct. The penalty had nothing to do with the play. It was on the opposite side of the center. Obviously, some of the coaches on Jesuit didn't agree. That's who the penalty flag was thrown on for the unsportsmanlike conduct. It came from the bench, not the players. Back up to you, Ken.
All right, thank you, Lance. Short gain on the last play. It will be 3rd and 31 now. What do you call on 3rd and 31, Steve?
Probably a draw.
Saunders rolling, wants to throw. Looking deep toward the sideline. Jump ball situation, tipped around and caught. Caught at the 22-yard line. It's short of a first down, but a big catch on the play by two. Dyson Roberts. Michael O'Brien made the stop. The Raiders had a real shot at an interception and missed it. And Jesuit comes up with a big play.
Right, what you call on a 3rd and 31 is a Hail Mary. Believe me, that prayer was answered. The quarterback rolled to his right, looking downfield. He threw it as far as he could. A Jesuit receiver and Rummel defender went up at the same time. It was tipped once, twice, and finally it came down into the hands of a Blue Jay receiver.
Van Halen had a shot for Rummel. 4th and 12, Jesuit will go for it. Rummel showing blitz, and they're offsides. Offsides on the Raiders. That was Jeff Russo making contact in the neutral zone. That'll make it 4th and 7. And if Jesuit overcomes this situation, where they had 32 yards to go for a first down, that will be a major turning point in the football game.
Rummel has blitzed successfully earlier in the game. That time, they just got caught trying to beat the snap count.
3 wide receivers to the right side on 4th down. Or rather, it's a first down. A first down and a big hole for Roniger. 10-5, fighting to the 3. Roniger to the 3. Michael O'Brien on the stop. Jesuit got the first down on the previous play. It was actually 4th and 2, not 4th and 7. And now the Blue Jays are threatening to score first here.
Excellent job again, running right between the guard and center, the little misdirection counter. Beautiful hole. Ball carrier did a good job getting into the secondary, fighting for extra yardage before he's brought down on the 3-yard line.
1st and goal, Blue Jays from the 3 power I formation behind Saunders. Sets him down, gives to Roniger, straight ahead, touchdown! Ricky Roniger from 3 yards out, and Jesuit takes a 6-0 lead with 2:54 to play in the first half.
Again, nothing fancy, just a great surge by the Jesuit line. Total domination at the line of scrimmage, blowing the Rummel defense back, and Roniger just followed a host of blue jerseys into the end zone.
Ideally, will be on to try the extra point out of the hold of Ryan Bro.
On the previous play, Ken, Mike Landry was shaken up for Rummel and went off the field.
High snap, ball down, kick in the air by Neely is through. Timeout on the field with 2:54 to play in the first half with our score. Jesuit 7, Rummel nothing. This is the WSMB 1350 AM Cox Cable Prep Football Game of the Week.
This fall, there's a new force in local sports. Friday Night Football, hosted by Ed Daniels and J.T. Curtis, Louisiana's winningest prep football coach. The only place for Big Easy sports fans to catch the complete high school football story.
For 15 weeks, all the way to the state championship finals at the Dome, we'll bring you the most complete coverage of prep football in the state.
Friday Night Football, live, Friday nights at 10:30 on WGNO TV, Channel 26.
2:54 to play in the first half. The Blue Jays have struck first. They lead Rummel by the score of 7-0 on a 3-yard run by Ricky Roniger. Neely's extra point was good, and Jesuit breaks on top. Boy, they overcame a 2nd and 32 situation to score, Steve.
It was a 5-play, 31-yard drive with the touchdown run by Roniger.
All right, the kickoff about to transpire with 2:54 to play here in the first half. 7-0 Blue Jays. Neely will strike it, and does. It's quite short. Bounces, takes a crazy bounce, and another. Look at the sponge there. Finally picked up by Harvey. He's in trouble. He'll go down at the 15. All kinds of confusion for Rummel, and Harvey just stood there and didn't really do anything with the football.
No, he didn't. It was kind of like, I wanted, you take it, I got it. And before they could really get going, Jesuit, the kick coverage team gets down. Nice play.
All right, let's go down field level now to this report from Lance Jacob.
Ken, credit that last touchdown 3-yard run. Great blocking, great penetration by the offensive line. The exact people that Coach Mark Sanji was zeroed in on when they did not convert on 3rd and 1. Those are the kids that came through. Matt Rigby, Chris Cola, and those on the offensive line. Back up to you, Ken.
1st and 10. They give to DeSalvo. Nothing doing. He's stuffed at the line of scrimmage. Jesuit beginning to take control of the line of scrimmage on both sides of the football. Marchand, Kenny, and Ryan Parrish lead the charge there. No gain. It will be 2nd and 10. If the Blue Jays can get them stopped here for another play, Steve, they might think about taking a timeout.
That's true. Remember, on the last series, the last offensive play, Collada was shaken up. He was hit very hard as he attempted to pass. New quarterback in from the Raiders.
Is Ryan Flanagan, the 6'2", 195-pound senior. The give running right, short yardage, nothing. Christian Harvey is met and stopped, driven straight back by Travis Bonifasic, who is there waiting for him, and Jesuit definitely controlling the line of scrimmage.
Well, not only controlling the line of scrimmage, but they are fired up. Momentum has swung their way to overcome a 2 back-to-back 15-yard penalties the way they did to keep that drive sustained, to go in for the score. Just unbelievable credit to the Jesuit coaching staff and offensive line.
Collada standing on the Raiders sidelines, helmet in hand, doesn't appear to be seriously injured, if at all. Flanagan is in there on 3rd and 10 from the 15, and they run left again, and they'll go nowhere. Line of scrimmage, and that's all. As the Blue Jay defense is there in the person of Sean Weiss, who's played big here tonight. Jesuit will take timeout as we surmise. So a timeout on the field with 1:28 to play first half with our score. The Blue Jays 7, the Raiders nothing. Back in just a moment. This is the WSMB 1350 AM Cox Cable Prep Football Game of the Week.
Knew all along you'd get around to seeing what we've been up to in Kenna, and you won't be disappointed.
.128 to play first half. Rummel with a 4th and 10 from the 15. Quito in punt formation. Marcus Scott standing at the Raider 45 to receive. This was a good snap. Heavy rush. Quito gets it off. Nice kick. Drives Scott back to his own 45. He fumbles the football. It's loose. The Raiders have a shot at it. Who gets it? I believe Jesuit got it. If you can believe that, they did. Wow.
What a punt, Ken. Just a beautiful punt.
The punt by Quito, fumbled on the play by Scott, but the Blue Jays somehow managed to cover it, even though 2 white shirts were right there by the football.
It's going your way. It's going your way. Again, Rummel so far has only managed to accumulate 27 yards of offense in this football game.
After scoring 42 on Jesuit a year ago. First down, 10. The Blue Jays, their own 44-yard line with a chance, leading 7-0. Golemi is the lone running back behind Saunders. He gets the football and goes down. Met hard at the line of scrimmage. That time by David Gesser, 95. It will be 2nd down. Give him a yard and 9 to go.
Gesser doing a good job stuffing the play at the line of scrimmage. The back tried to make a cut when he saw the hole sealed off. Couldn't do it, and he was just hit right as he hit the line of scrimmage.
2nd down and 9 from the 45-yard line. 3 receivers to the left side. Saunders with a play fake. Back in the pocket. Throwback pass to the other side is dropped by Galemi. Galemi had it in his hands at the 42, but couldn't hold on. That does stop the clock with 39 seconds to play in the half.
Jesuit going for a little misdirection screen there. A lot of their plays are very slow developing. It looks like they're going almost in slow motion.
So it's a 3rd down and 9 yards to go for the 45. That's really the way they run it, Steve. They set up their blocks well that way. They feel like they have a superior front offensively. Thus far, they've had some success. 3 receivers to the right side, ball in the center of the field on 3rd down. The pitch goes to Galemi running right, student body right. He's going to be met, and he fumbled the ball, I do believe. He's driven straight back. Let's see. Oh, the Jays had the football. He was hit and driven straight back. Looked like the ball popped out there, didn't it?
It did. The way he stopped and then a big scramble right at the point of contact, it did appear that the ball was fumbled.
Jesuit will likely let the clock run out because it's 4th down and 7 yards to go. 13 seconds and counting. They don't have to run another play. Rummel is not inclined to stop it here, so this clock will likely expire here. 5 seconds. That is going to do it here in the first half. From Tad Gormley Stadium and Malarian Field, the first half has come to a close. And at the end of one half, here's our score. It's the Jesuit Blue Jays 7, the Archbishop Rummel Raiders nothing. Back with our halftime festivities and more. This is the WSMB 1350 AM Cox Cable Prep Football Game of the Week.
Prep Football on Cox Cable is brought to you by Bone Ford in New Orleans, your 15-minute confidence dealership. Kenner, on the move. Friday Night Football on WGNO-TV, Channel 26. And Cox Cable Jefferson Parish, guaranteed star quality.
At Bone Ford in New Orleans, we turned our emergency into your advantage. Now the street at Bone Ford in New Orleans at South Broad in Washington is clear, and Bone Ford is easy to get to. But the sale's not over. Every car will be drastically reduced. Every truck will have big savings. And on every van, you'll save more. Bring your title, special financing, appraisers on duty. Selection is big, so come to the original Bone Ford in New Orleans. Buy with confidence. Buy at Bone Ford, your 15-minute dealership in New Orleans.
Knew all along you'd get around to seeing what we've been up to in Kenner, and you won't be disappointed.
This fall, there's a new force in local sports. Friday Night Football, hosted by Ed Daniels and J.T. Curtis, Louisiana's winningest prep football coach. The only place for Big Easy sports fans to catch the complete high school football story.
For 15 weeks, all the way to the state championship finals at the Dome, we'll bring you the most complete coverage of prep football in the state.
Friday Night Football, live, Friday nights at 10:30 on WGNO-TV, Channel 26.
Impact, reach, frequency. It's how you get the most for your media dollars. And with cable's exclusive programming, you can target those dollars directly to the audiences you're after. Even hard-to-reach upscale light TV viewers who plug into the world every day with cable's great news channels. So if your aim is results, target your next message with cable. Advertisers are getting the picture.
Trahan, along with Steve Barrios, Lance Jacob down on the field. Halftime here at Tad Gormley Stadium. The Jesuit Blue Jays leading the Rummel Raiders by the score of 7-0. Steve, both teams came out on their first offensive series and moved the ball extremely well. But from that point on, Jesuit has really taken control of the football game.
They really have. Their bigger, stronger line has really dominated. Of course, the big thing is the turnover, the interception by Jesuit that led to the touchdown.
And incidentally, Rick Collada got hurt on that particular series, hurt his elbow, we're told. That's why Flanagan was in at the end of the half. We'll have to wait and see whether Collada can come back. That could be a big, big item in this football game.
It really is. Collada is such an athlete for them. He does so much. He can run, he can throw. So his loss could be a big turning point for the Rummel Raiders.
Take a look at some of the first half numbers with Jesuit leading in total yardage, 103 to 53. And again, most of those yards for Rummel occurred on the very first series. I know the Raiders would like to get the ball in the hands of Jimmy Quito here more in the second half, Steve.
Quito, an excellent runner, but he's been stymied. He started off well in that first Rummel drive, but since then it's been like three downs and punts.
And as we expected, Jesuit showing a good 1-2 punch offensively with Galemi and Roniger, but defensively I've been most impressed with the Blue Jays. They've just taken control up front. Weiss has played well. Parrish has been tough. Marchand Kenny outstanding as well.
They've just come up. They've totally dominated the line of scrimmage. They've not allowed Rummel to get into their misdirection and counter game.
Well, the Blue Jays got the only touchdown of the game following a drive after the interception, and they capped the drive with a 3-yard touchdown run by Ricky Roniger.
Roniger's done everything tonight. He's run the football extremely well. On that 3-yard run, just a great line surge by the Jesuit offensive line. A host of blue jerseys just led him right into the end zone.
Of course, Lance Jacob is the third member of our broadcast party, bringing you field reports throughout the course of the game. And in fact, let's go down to Lance right now for this update.
Todd came with me. He's around here somewhere. Coach Mark Sanji is going to join us. Coach Sanji, a big defensive battle tonight. Early success by Rummel, but you made some adjustments.
Well, we did. We were able to convert that long pass that helped us out there. Kind of an accident. Offense started putting things together. We're playing really good on defense. We got to continue to do that, and we can't give up a big play by Rummel this half.
Very quickly, you talked to your offensive lineman earlier that you were upset you didn't get the 3rd and 1.
Right.
They seem to be fired up in that goal line situation.
Well, we did. We're going about 5 yards off the ball, I think, down there, but can't look for that to come all the time, though. So we have to play a little bit better possession football right now.
Good luck to you the rest of the game, Coach. That's what it looks like down from the field here. And Mark Sanji, he's a little concerned about what success Rummel put together early on. But as you said, Ken and Steve, with the quarterback out for Rummel, things may get a little rougher to move the ball against this Jesuit defense. Let's go upstairs.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks for that report. Halftime here, 7-0 Jesuit. We'll take time out here. Back with the start of our third quarter in just a moment. This is the WSMB 1350 AM Cox Cable Prep Football Game of the Week.
At Bone Ford in New Orleans, we turned our emergency into your advantage. Now the street at Bone Ford in New Orleans at South Broad in Washington is clear, and Bone Ford is easy to get to. But the sale's not over. Every car will be drastically reduced. Every truck will have big savings. And on every van, you'll save more. Bring your title, special financing, appraisers on duty. Selection is big, so come to the original Bone Ford in New Orleans. Buy with confidence. Buy at Bone Ford, your 15-minute dealership in New Orleans. Bone Ford.
Ken Trahan, Steve Barrios, Lance Jacob. The kickoff return by Rummel to the 28-yard line officially. Heath Kreider made the stop for Jesuit. And the Raiders will open with Rick Collada back in at quarterback to start the second half. He injured his elbow in the first half. We'll watch him closely. He is the key offensively for Rummel. As the Raiders will start from their own 28, trailing 7-0. And we're waiting for a ball to be put back in play by Rummel, and now they will get it back into play. And in fact, they'll mark it at the 30 officially as they moved it up 2 yards in that exchange. Rummel gained 2. Nice start for the Raiders. Quito is the tailback. Collada, the quarterback. Split backs behind him on first down. Jesuit brings a lot of men up. They send Quito in motion, give it straight ahead. Nothing doing. Smith, the ball carrier, to the 31, and just no room there as Parrish again makes the stop for Jesuit. Blue Jays just controlling the front.
Parrish really making his presence felt there. Rummel coming back. It's good to see Collada back in the game, Ken. He means so much to this offense. He runs well. He's a good athlete. He's got a good arm. But once again, the dominant size, I think, of the Blue Jay defense has really come to the forefront.
A look at Terry Urson, Sean Weiss, Ryan Parrish, Trepanier, Bonner. You see Wainwright in there as well. Time to time, second down. 8 yards to go, the 31. And the pitch to Quito. He's in trouble. Cuts inside. Nice move to the 35 to 36. I mean, he got 4 yards out of nothing. 2 Blue Jays had him in their sights waiting for him. He made a good move to avoid them both. And then Terry Urson made the stop at about the 36.
It's going to be a counter option. Collada comes down the line. He made the pitch to Quito. He was totally cut off. Did a great job stopping on a dime, cutting back against the grain, and making something out of nothing.
Again, dominance by the Blue Jays up front. They just had Rummel totally outmanned, but Guido made a positive play out of nothing. It's third down, however, still, and a short 5 for Rummel at the 36. Guido in motion to the far side of the field. Rolling that way is Collada. Under pressure, stops. He's got 3 men chasing him, and he goes down slipping at the 25. And again, just too much pressure. Trepanier Bonner will get credit for the sack, but Collada slipped as he tried to avoid Marchand Kenny.
Collada really just running for his life. He wants to roll to his left, looking downfield, but the pressure comes in. Now he's got to change directions. He's almost tackled, and as he tried to cut once again to avoid the rush, he fell to the turf.
Guido will punt it away. Marcus Scott is deep. Good snap, big rush. He hits it high, and it will bounce. And again, takes a Blue Jay bounce sideways, and now maybe a Rummel bounce for about 2 yards to the Jesuit 46. And the Blue Jays with a 7-0 lead will have great field position. Start the second half with 9:48 to play in the third quarter. Mark Sanji and the Blue Jays sideline pleased with what they've seen thus far. The Raider defense will have to be stiff here to defend a relatively short field.
Excellent field position for the Jesuit Blue Jays on this possession.
3 receivers to the left side for Jesuit, the wide side of the field. Roniger, the long setback behind Saunders. He gets the football, and he's tripped up and down near the line of scrimmage. Managed to pick up 2 yards falling forward as David Gesser, who's played a very nice game from his defensive end spot, makes the stop.
Gesser did a good job that time fighting off the block. He was actually on his hands and knees when he came up to make the stop. Good penetration by Gesser.
Well, the WSMB Cox Cable Prep Football Game of the Week is sponsored in part by Bone Ford in New Orleans, your 15-minute confidence dealership. Kenner on the move, WGNO TV, Channel 26, and Friday Night Football. Cable Rep Advertising and Cox Cable. Star quality on second down, running right, this time stuffed. Nothing there for Roniger. He ran into a brick wall. Jeff Russo making the stop. Let's take a look at the Class 5A rankings. The top 10 this week. Neville has been totally dominant. Ouachita with some problems in second. Carencro third with Thibodeau fourth, and St. Aug fifth.
Here we go. Catholic High Baton Rouge, 6th place.
And then, of course, Barb is ranked 7th in the state this week, followed by West Monroe, Airline, and Shaw now in 10th. Third down and 8 for Jesuit, the 48-yard line. Saunders off the play fake, in trouble, is hit, and he's going to go down. Took him a while to go down, but he finally did. The blitz by Jason Soche. Mike Landry was there as well, and the sack for the Raiders, a big play.
Once again, the Rummel Raiders come out fired up on defense. It was an all-out blitz. They came in. Quarterback had no chance. He was trying to go off of a little misdirection play fake, but just totally smothered by the Rummel defense.
Punt formation is Neely, 10-man front for Rummel. Mike Ryan deep for the Raiders. Good snap, good rush, and he got it off again, barely. He goes down, but no contact, and it turns out to be an effective punt. Down to the Raider 26. I mean, Rummel has come close and then closer on that one. I got to believe before the night's over, they're going to get one the way they're going.
It's just amazing that Neely was able to get that punt off at all.
7:53 to play, third quarter. Rummel takes over, trailing 7-0. Ken Trahan with Steve Barrios and Lance Jacob from Tad Gormley. Thank you for joining us on the WSMB Cox Cable Game of the Week. This battle in District 10 5A proceeds. Raiders send Desidue wide to the left, twin receivers to the right side. Collada, the quarterback, with the split backs behind him on first down. Off the fake, Collada rolling. Stops, throws over the middle, and it's intercepted by Scott. 45, and inside the 40 and down to the 38-yard line is Marcus Scott. Pass was intended for Flanagan, but Scott was all over that one. Second interception of a Collada pass. And credit Wainwright with a good pass pressure.
Collada trying to force it in the middle. He really, I don't think, Ken, that I don't think he saw the safety coming over. Second interception. On the first interception, he did not see the linebacker waiting in the gap. Collada trying to force it down deep. A good defensive play by Jesuit. Their second interception of the evening.
Last one went for a score after they intercepted. They drove it in for 6. Let's see what happens here. Saunders sets them down. 3 receivers to the left side once again on first down for the Raider 38. Saunders with the snap to give to Galemi. Big hole, look out, he's in the clear. 30-25, cuts outside to the 20 and down to the 19-yard line. Todd Galemi, before Emil Van Halen can bring him down, but a first down for Jesuit on a big 20-yard run.
Once again, you have to credit the Jesuit offensive line. Just a huge hole right up the middle. And when Galemi hit the line of scrimmage, he was really running in the secondary before Rummel knew what happened.
To the 19-yard line. First down, Blue Jays from that point. Saunders with the snap, gives it straight ahead to Galemi. Tough going inside to about the 17-yard line. Gesser and Billy Barron were there defensively for Rummel. The Jesuit sideline, the defense getting instructions. Boy, they've done a great job pitching a shutout to this point. Second down, about 8 yards to go for Jesuit from the Rummel 17-yard line officially. And they give to Galemi, trying to get outside right. Galemi is going to be dragged down. Great play defensively. What a nice individual tackle for Rummel by 6. Michael O'Brien, the free safety, the transfer from De La Salle. We do have a Raider player slow to get up. That is going to be Mike Landry, second time he's gone down.
Galemi actually fumbled the football, Ken, when he was tackled on that play. He did a good job to recover it on his way down. But that would have been a big, big break for Rummel had they been able to come up with that fumble.
Loss of 2 on the play. It will be third down and 10 yards to go all over again. Jesuit staff with Earl Gervais, Scott Hildebrand, George Robinson, Lou Valden, Jay Roth, David Baudry, doing a very fine job. On 3rd and 10, the Blue Jays. Saunders gives it straight ahead. Slammed down immediately is Galemi as he ran into big Billy Barron. And Barron, that time, put a fast stop to him.
He did. A little slow in getting up, but he did a good job reading the play. He penetrated, hit him at the line of scrimmage, and now we may have a field goal attempt here.
On 4th down, Neely is on to try the field goal. It's going to be a 37-yard attempt. Ball spotted at the 27. Ryan Bro is the holder. He is a very fine kicker. Here's the snap. Ball down, kick in the air. It is good by Neely. 37-yard field goal by Pat Neely. Timeout on the field. 5:26 to play here in the third quarter with our score. Jesuit 10 and Rummel nothing. This is the WSMB 1350 AM Cox Cable Prep Football Game of the Week.
At the Pontchartrain Center in Kenner, 5 cents goes a long way. The Pontchartrain Center has over 35,000 square feet of exhibit space and 6 spacious meeting rooms, all for just 5 cents a square foot. If you're looking for a place to hold your next convention, meeting, seminar, or banquet, Kenner's Pontchartrain Center is New Orleans' newest meeting alternative. All meal functions are catered by Marie's to assure the finest in banquet cuisine. When you're looking for a quality convention or meeting facility with affordable rates, call the Pontchartrain Center in Kenner.
Ken Trahan, Steve Barrios, Lance Jacob. Jesuit leads 10-0. 37-yard field goal by Neely, and it followed another interception, Steve.
Both scores tonight come off of interceptions. That time a 5-play, 18-yard drive with a 37-yard field goal by Neely. And I tell you what, that ball had a lot on it. He cleared it by a lot.
Neely to kick it off for the Blue Jays. Here's the kickoff, bouncing way short. It's going to be fielded by an up man at the 35, and that's about it. Good job of fielding the ball, and nowhere else to go with it for the Raiders, who will have decent field position at their own 35. And Steve, this is a series that Rummel has to get something accomplished on. They have shown nothing offensively since the first series of the game.
First series they came out looked real well, but since then it's been all the Blue Jay defense. Let's see, Collada coming back in.
And again, Flanagan is in at the wide receiver spot. We reiterate, he is the backup quarterback, so could have some gadgetry in motion before this one's over.
I was about to say they may have to resort to some type of trick play to get some positive offense generated.
Twin receivers right, also to the left double slot on first down. And a motion man. Collada off the play fake, rolling out. In trouble, is going to be dragged down back of the 27-yard line. Collada with pressure from Sean Weiss, who's just been huge tonight.
I tell you, Mr. Collada having a long night rolling out. Weiss did an excellent job containing and going with the flow, getting outside. He just grabbed him by the jersey and was able to swing him down. Just a big defensive play by Weiss.
Just total dominance up front. I mean, there's nothing else you can say about what we've seen here this evening. Rummel's worst fears are coming true as Jesuit has contained Collada, forced him into mistakes, and knocked him around pretty good. Second down. They give it to the wingman, Harvey, trying to get outside. Cannot do so. Bottled up and dropped by Mike Breeden, the outside linebacker who made the final midfield tackle.
Once again, Jesuit able to cover sideline to sideline as Rummel trying to go outside, unable to turn the corner. Just a beautiful play by Breeden.
4:15 to play third quarter. It's now third down. 17 yards to go, Raiders, from their own 28-yard line. Again, twin receivers to either side. Collada in shotgun formation with a low snap. Back in the pocket to throw. Wants to go deep over the middle and overthrown, intended for Quito. Quito was just clearing Marcus Scott, but again, Collada got dumped by Sean Weiss. And that's just been the story. Collada with a good arm. He can air it out. But again, Weiss with great penetration gave Collada a real shot as he delivered the football, and it will be fourth down.
I think Quito may have lost the ball momentarily in the lights. It appeared that he thought it was going to be a little shorter than it was. When he finally picked it up again, it had gone over his head, but that was a nice throw.
Quito to punt it away. Scott is deep to receive. Big rush, but Quito gets it off. Hits it towards Scott. Fields at his 38. Shakes a tackle across the 40 to the 42-yard line. And that's where Jesuit will put it in play on this possession. Gesser was there defensively along with 46 Davin Severa for Rummel. 3:47 to play third quarter. Blue Jays with the ball and a 10-0 lead.
And once again, excellent field position to start this drive.
Don't forget, at the conclusion of this game, we'll be picking our Cox Cable ESPN Player of the Game, who will receive a game ball as well as a trophy from AAA Trophies in Kenner. Saunders, the quarterback, single setback behind him. He has the ball running right into the open. Kreller, 50, 45, down to the 40, and a first down. Jesuit at the Rummel 37. As they gave it to the up back Kreller that time and fooled Rummel. Great blocking up front before Michael O'Brien can make the stop.
Kreller does a good job, Ken, when he hits the line of scrimmage. He sees the daylight, blows into the secondary. Just a nice play by the Blue Jays.
We'll go down to Lance Jacob right after this play. 1st and 10, Blue Jays from the Rummel 37-yard line. I formation, they give us to the tailback, bouncing it outside nicely as Roniger. Nice cutback inside the 30 and down to the 25. He has another first down for Jesuit before Jack Nicole can bring him down.
Basically the same play, just run to the opposite side of the field. Again, Jesuit offensive line, big gaping hole, the backs into the secondary.
Let's go down field level now for this report from Lance Jacob.
Ken, credit the Jesuit defense for just taking over this football game. They're forcing Rummel to go 3 downs and out. The Rummel defense is starting to get tired, and you can see it by the success of Jesuit's running game. Up to you, Ken.
1st and 10, Jesuit the 25-yard line. Saunders barking signals. Straight ahead, breaking a tackle and fighting to the 24 is Roniger before 21. Brian Glass can make the stop for the Raiders. Gain of 1, it will be 2nd and 9.
Good penetration that time by number 94, Billy Barron. He was into the backfield, disrupted the play, which slowed it up and held him for little or no gain.
Officially no gain. They mark it at the 25, so it's 2nd and 10. Split backs behind Saunders this time. Sprint draw and stuffed immediately is Roniger by Billy Barron, who has really come on strong here in the second half.
He really has. Barron disrupted the play last play. Good penetration. This time he snuffs it out again. Barron coming up with back-to-back defensive plays.
Roniger and Galemi, a good 1-2 punch. Of course, Jesuit's outstanding running back of a year ago, Jason Herstius, is now a scholarship athlete at Tulane. In fact, he's been moved to the secondary and is being redshirted this year. Rolling right on 3rd down is Saunders. Still looking. Saunders is going to throw across his body and incomplete. Incomplete down at about the 13-yard line, and it will be 4th down. And let's see if we see Neely again. I believe we will. Outstanding young kicker is going to come back onto the field to try yet another field goal. Jesuit fans are enjoying this one. Line of scrimmage, the 25, so this will be a 42-yard attempt by Pat Neely. Again, out of the hold of Bro.
Neely, 5'8", 155 pounds.
All right, Bro kneeling at the 32, a 42-yard attempt. Good snap, ball down, kick on the way, and it is no good, off to the left. So this time he hooked it left. And we might have a flag, or do we have one or not? Let's see. There is a flag on the play. And if this works against Rummel, it's a personal foul, roughing the kicker, and that's going to be an automatic first down for Jesuit. Boy, Rummel just killing themselves with turnovers and mistakes here.
Penalties have really played a big part in Rummel's first touchdown. First, it was 2 back-to-back 15-yard penalties against Jesuit. Then, on a critical 4th and 2, Rummel came off sides, which let that drive go on. We were able to see on a replay where the kicker was definitely run into by Chevis as he was coming in to try to block the
we had a chance to see it clearly here, and it was a good call and just a critical mistake by Rummel. It could be absolutely devastating here. Here's the give, and this time going nowhere is Ricky Roniger running right. The Rummel defense stiffening up. Boy, they've been called on to do a lot out there. Billy Barron again is there to stuff the play for Rummel, and he had help on the play from 91 Eric Martinez.
Martinez, Barron doing a good job. The Rummel interior or defensive line has really come to life on this last series by Jesuit.
Loss of 1 on the play, 2nd and 11 from the 13, approaching the 1-minute mark of the third quarter. Jesuit leading 10-0 and threatening. 3 receivers left, and they run a quarterback draw. Saunders trudging straight ahead nicely inside the 10, down to about the 7, a design play, and it worked pretty well there for Brian Saunders.
Good call that time, Ken. What they do is they put trips to one side of the field, which makes the secondary rotate around, and now on the draw, if the quarterback can get past the line of scrimmage, that secondary is out of there, and he can get positive yardage.
Nice pickup on the play of 7 yards. It'll be 3rd and 4 now. Line of scrimmage is the 7-yard line with 30 seconds to play here in the third quarter. High formation behind Saunders. On 3rd down. He gives to Roniger, big hole. He's across the 5 and down about the 2, and appears to have a first down for Jesuit. Nice hole off the left side, and Roniger burst off left tackle for good yardage. They may even measure this one. He is very close to first down yardage, and in fact, they will call for the chains here. There was good blocking on this play.
It really was a little counter-type action. Good blocking by the guard tackle. Big hole right through the center. Finally brought down by Eric Martinez.
Chris Cola had a nice block on Billy Barron there. He hooked him to create the hole, and Jesuit has a 1st and goal. 1st and goal, Jesuit from the 2. So the Blue Jays knocking on the door, threatening, leading 10-0 here. Play comes in from the bench for the Blue Jays, the person of Colin Berthoud. And the Jays with 1st and goal with a power I formation behind Saunders. And they give to Roniger. Roniger bursts into the end zone for a score off right tackle. On the final play of the third quarter, Jesuit takes a 16-0 lead. The extra point still to come.
I really feel, Ken, it was the same play he scored on earlier. Just right between the guard and center. A big surge by the offensive line. And Roniger just hits up in there hard, plows into the end zone.
Roniger with his 2nd score of the game. And on the try of the extra point is Pat Neely. Jesuit taking control of this game, largely due to Rummel mistakes. Here's a snap, the ball down, kick in the air, and it is good. So at the end of 3 quarters of play from Tad Gormley Stadium, here's our score. The Jesuit Blue Jays 17 and the Rummel Raiders nothing. Back with the fourth quarter in just a moment. This is the WSMB 1350 AM Cox Cable Prep Football Game of the Week.
This fall, there's a new force in local sports. Friday Night Football, hosted by Ed Daniels and J.T. Curtis, Louisiana's winningest prep football coach. The only place for Big Easy sports fans to catch the complete high school football story.
For 15 weeks, all the way to the state championship finals at the Dome, we'll bring you the most complete coverage of prep football in the state.
Friday Night Football, live Friday nights at 10:30 on WGNO TV, Channel 26.
Ken Trahan, Steve Barrios, Lance Jacob. Fourth quarter about to begin. Jesuit on top of Rummel, 17-0. WSMB Talk Radio, 1350 AM. Cox Cable Prep Football Game of the Week is sponsored in part by Bone Ford in New Orleans, your 15-minute confidence dealership. By Kenner on the Move. By WGNO TV Channel 26 and Friday Night Football. Cable Rep Advertising and Cox Cable, star quality guaranteed. Here's the kickoff, and a good return for Rummel. Look out, in the clear. 40, 45, 50, 45, and knocked out of bounds at about the 40-yard line in Jesuit territory. Appeared to be Edler on the return, and the Raiders with great field position here. Jimmy Quito was the man on the return, and who else?
Quito, excellent job, Ken. He took the kickoff, got a good job of blocking at the initial wave of tacklers. Then he's off to the races. Neely's going to come over and make a stop, but as he's tackled and down, another Jesuit player comes in, hits him late, and that's what the flag was.
Yeah, 15-yard personal foul penalty, so the return to the 38. The penalty 15 yards to the Jesuit 23, and Rummel has a real chance here with 11:48 to play, trailing 17-0.
The deepest penetration of the night.
All right, the split backs behind Collada on first down. Fakes it, rolling left. Again under pressure. He's in trouble. He's going to fight his way back to near the line of scrimmage. But, I mean, this is just total dominance. Ranieri finally able to make the stop. Great pressure from Weiss and from Parrish again. You know, they faked well. They just haven't blocked him, Steve.
Well, the problem here is that as he fakes and rolls out, there's no one open to throw. And with the aggressiveness of the Jesuit defense, he's just under too much pressure to make anything happen.
Actually, a loss of 1 on the play. They mark it at the 24, so it's 2nd and 11. Golden opportunity for Rummel here. They must get something done to be in this game. Harvey in motion right. Off the play fake again. Collada this time with time. Throws, and he is going to be incomplete at around the 18-yard line. Trying to get it to Quito, but tight coverage by Ben Tarantino, the free safety.
Once again, Collada throwing right into the teeth of the Jesuit secondary. Those are dangerous throws, crossing patterns across the middle. Tarantino right with the receiver, breaking it up.
So it'll be 3rd down now and 11 yards to go from the 25-yard line. 11:02 to play, and now a penalty against Rummel is marked off. Pass interference against Rummel is the call.
Rummel really having problems tonight with the penalty situation. A lot of mistakes hurting their drives.
Penalty marked off all the way back to the 39-yard line, and that's a major penalty. It's going to be 3rd down and 27 yards to go for Rummel as a result of that mark-off. Harvey in motion. Fake by Collada. Big pressure. Collada's going to go down in his own territory. He grounds the football to compound the problem. Trepanier Bonner with great pressure, but he had all kinds of help. Jesuit just with players all over the place there, living in the Rummel backfield, and that's been the story of the game.
Collada trying to go with a little counter play action fake, but as soon as he makes his play action fake, he's totally engulfed and then just makes another error by throwing the football down, further penalty yardage, putting it back further.
Steve, on 3rd and 27, I don't think play action fooled anybody.
No, definitely not.
Punt formation is Quito, standing at his own 29. Marcus Scott deep to receive. Bad snap, bounce to him. Quito gets it and gets the kick off in good fashion. It hits a good punt. Takes a Rummel bounce. Inside the 10 and down to about the 9-yard line. So a very fine effort by Jimmy Quito. But a missed opportunity for Rummel following Quito's fine return. 10:41 to play. Jesuit in control, 17-0.
As you said, he had a fine kickoff return. Another 15 yards tacked on for a personal foul. The biggest and deepest penetration of the night, and then they just self-destruct.
We want to thank our friends at Coca-Cola for making our space available to us here this evening at Tag Gormley Stadium. What a beautiful facility, what beautiful space this is. Our thanks to Coca-Cola. And I'm enjoying sipping on one myself right now as we do this game, Steve. On first down, straight ahead across the 10 to about the 11-yard line. On the carry was Galemi, and it will be 2nd down and 8. Mike Ryan makes the stop for the Raiders. course, don't forget, at the conclusion of this game, we'll select our Cox Cable ESPN Player of the Game, as well as the recipient of our trophy from AAA Trophies in Kenner. We have some nice candidates on the blue side of the field at this point.
It's been all Blue Jays tonight.
2nd and 7, Jesuit, their own 12 power I formation. Give it to Roniger. Roniger, nice cutback. Roniger to about the 19. Good run. He is close to a first down. Brian Glass able to make the stop. So he is close to a first down, and in fact has it. First down, Blue Jays at the 19-yard line. We'd also like to give our special thanks to Prime Equipment on the West Bank Expressway in Harvey for providing us with our end zone scissor lift. We have a chance to look at it here via our monitors, courtesy of Cox Cable. Thank you very much, Prime Equipment on the West Bank.
Good shot right there coming from the lift.
High formation, and the give is to Galemi, trying to run right, gets a block. Look out, Galemi has another first down across the 30 and out to about the 34-yard line. Old-fashioned, hard-nosed football by the Blue Jays, just dominating up front. Emil Van Halen able to make the stop.
The old college sweep that time. Guard and tackles pulling out his lead back. An excellent job of just running behind your protection, waiting for the hole to open up. It's been total domination right now by the Jesuit Blue Jay line.
Jesuit at the 34-yard line, 1st and 10. Again, the power I formation. I wonder what they're doing here, right? This time they give it to Kreller. Big hole for Kreller across the 40 and out to about the 45. He has another first down before Jack Nicole can make the stop. Well, this power I formation has proven to be very successful for Jesuit.
It really has, just ripping off big yards one after the other, 2 consecutive first downs.
It's really been a strange series. You know, these two schools, talent-wise, have been evenly matched, and yet they haven't had a close game in a few years. And tonight looks like no exception.
Last year, Rummel 42-14 over the Blue Jays.
2 years ago, 34-7 Jesuit. They're returning the favor tonight, and a big hole into the open. 45, 40, and Kreller is down near the 35. Brett Kreller popped it open before Michael O'Brien could make the stop, and this could be the concession speech that we're watching right now.
Jesuit basically running the same play. The last 3 plays have been identical, except one to the right, one to the left, coming back again to the opposite side.
All right, a timeout will be taken on the field. So a timeout with 8:29 to play here in the ball game. Our score is Jesuit 17 and Rummel nothing. This is the WSMB Cox Cable Prep Football Game of the Week.
At Bone Ford in New Orleans, we turned our emergency into your advantage. Now the street at Bone Ford in New Orleans at South Broad in Washington is clear, and Bone Ford is easy to get to. But the sale's not over. Every car will be drastically reduced. Every truck will have big savings. And on every van, you'll save more. Bring your title, special financing, appraisers on duty. Selection is big, so come to the original Bone Ford in New Orleans. Buy with confidence. Buy at Bone Ford, your 15-minute dealership in New Orleans.
8:29 to play. Jesuit on top of Rummel 17-0. Ken Trahan, Steve Barrios, Lance Jacob. Glad to have you with us on our WSMB Cox Cable Prep Football Game of the Week here this evening. Blue Jays with a 1st and 10 from the Raider 35-yard line. Power I formation on 1st and 10. Here's the give. Straight ahead again. Good yardage across the 30 and down to the 29. Goes Ty Galemi, who's had an impressive night. Brian Glass on the stop. Let's go downfield level now for this report from Lance Jacob.
Cue him. Where's Lance? Up, bring it up.
All right, we don't have Lance there, so we will get to him in just a few minutes. 2nd down 5 from the 30-yard line. All right, here's the give. This time the Roniger off the left side, and that time the hole was shut. Nothing doing. Raiders got some penetration defensively from Brian Glass, among others, and it will be 3rd down. Eric Martinez also in on the stop. Of course, Mark Martin, the Rummel coach in his 2nd year, assisted by Joey Bowe, Steve Barton, George Ryan, Frankie Cazzo, Rome Evans, and Eddie Jacquelard. They do a fine job. Tough night tonight for the Raiders. 3rd and 5 from the 30 for Jesuit. Power I formation again. Big pressure on Saunders. Hit and drop. Billy Barron rambled on through that time and used all 265 pounds to treat Saunders like a, I guess...
ragdoll.
A ragdoll. There you go.
Billy Barron, I tell you, there's no quit in that young man. He's really having a fine defensive night in the midst of a lot of adversity for his team overall, but he has played an outstanding football game.
So the Raiders did hold, and Jesuit will have to punt it away.
Jesuit has 198 yards rushing to the Raiders' 52.
Here's the punt, angling toward the sideline by Scott. It gets a bounce and goes into the end zone, so it will be a touchback. Rummel will take over 1st and 10 at its own 20-yard line, trailing 17-0 with 6:37 to play.
The Blue Jays really dominating as far as time of possession. Also first downs. Jesuit has picked up 16 first downs to the Raiders 3. That pretty much tells the story, Ken.
Blue Jay band going in the background. First down, 10 yards to go. Look at the formation for Rummel. It looks like a trick formation here. They snap it over Colada's head. Back into the end zone. He's in trouble. It's a safety.
I mentioned earlier, when you're in a situation that Rummel's in, you're going to have to resort to some type of maybe gadget or trick play. That time they came out with one, but the snap went awry. It goes over Colada's head, and he's forced, or rather tackled in the end zone for a safety.
Well, they tried the gadget play. It backfired, and a safety. Colada's trapped in the end zone. Ball was snapped way over his head. He just didn't have a chance. He was chased by Tanner Tritico, who got him and dropped him in the end zone. So Tritico creates the safety for Jesuit off the bad snap.
Basically, with the formation, they had the center and 2 guards like the near hash mark, and the rest of the offense was set up on the other side of the far hash mark. The ball went over his head, and Jesuit comes up with the safety.
So that adds to the lead. It's now 19-0 Blue Jays with 6:29 to play. Jesuit looking safer all the time as far as advancing to 2-1 in district play and 5-2 overall. This would be a big win for the Blue Jays and a crushing loss for Rummel, which can ill afford one at this stage of the season if they'd like to go back to the playoffs as they did a year ago. Rummel has elected to place kick it here. Quito handles that. Who else? Option to punt or place kick. Quito will place kick it from the 20. He hits it good, and it's fielded at the 33. 40. Golemi near midfield to the 49-yard line before he's brought down, and a flag is down. And we'll have to check that flag. That might be a little extracurricular activity away from the football. John Morrow on the stop.
But Ken, here again, the Rummel defense will be forced to come back out with really no rest, no time to catch their breath or regroup. And the penalty is going against the Blue Jays.
It is holding against Jesuit on the return. Mark the football at the Blue Jay 39 as a result with 6:20 to play. Mark Sanji yelling in instructions from the sideline to his team.
Beef over here.
Kind of like the job Sanji's done in his first year at Jesuit. It's tough in this league as a first-year coach, but he's going to go to 5-2 and 2-1 in the league after this one. 1st and 10, the 39-yard line. Jesuit runs right. Cutting it inside to about the 44, maybe the 45 is Brett Kreller before Brian Glass can make the stop. Steve and I will start thinking about some player of the game candidates. Well, I tell you, they've had some great defensive play here tonight. Sean Weiss has been terrific. Marchand Kenny, tough. Ryan Parrish, outstanding. Offensively, Ricky Roniger with a couple of scores. We'll have to start thinking about that, Mr. Barrios.
Okay.
2nd down and about 5 yards to go. Power I formation behind Saunders. Counter play right, big hole. And a 1st down across midfield to the 49-yard line goes Todd Golemi before Tarn Shevis can bring him down. 1st down for Jesuit at the Rummel 49.
Once again, Jesuit going with the power I, hitting right between the guard and tackle, big holes, allowing their backs to pick up 1st downs in consecutive order.
Clock under 5:30 to play now and ticking. Saunders breaks the huddle, double tight end formation, and again the power I. And the give to Kreller. Running left, gets a block and gets down to the 46-yard line. Smack down there. It'll be second down and about 7 yards to go. Nothing fancy here. Blue Jays just looking to make positive yardage and run the clock.
Spreading the ball around between all their backs, keeping them fresh.
Second and 7 from the 45-yard line. Of course, again, at the conclusion of this game, a presentation of the trophy from AAA Trophies. And we'll select our Cox Cable ESPN player of the game as well. Power I formation on second down. Counter play. Breaking one tackle, Galemi. Another, and he's loose. 45-40. Watch the speedy Mako. 35-30. 25-20. Galemi is inside the 15 and down to about the 12-yard line in the arms of Tarn Shevis. What a fine run by Ty Galemi. You can see why the Blue Jays are excited about this young sophomore.
Galemi did an excellent job, Ken, of breaking a tackle at the line of scrimmage. And once he did, he was off to the races. Just a great effort by Galemi.
First down, Jesuit. And we'll call it 10 yards to go. The line of scrimmage is the 12-yard line. Blue Jays threatening, leading 19-0. Again, the power I formation behind Saunders. Barking signals. Giving it to Roniger this time. Roniger inside the 10 to about the 9. Gesser is on his back, making the play. Along with help from 21, Brian Glass. So it will be second down. And about 8 yards to go now.
You have to feel for the Rummel defense. They have been on the field a long time tonight.
Seemingly all night. I mean, they have made, I think, if I'm not mistaken, just one first down since that first drive this evening. Second down and 8, Blue Jays from the 10. Power I formation once again. Give to Kreller, running left, gets a block, follows his blocking well. He is down to about the 4-yard line. Well, he set up the blocks very well. And again, Brian Glass, let's give him credit. We have called 21 all night long. He's just a junior, 5'9", 200 pounds, built low to the ground. Jesuit cheerleaders have enjoyed everything they have seen this evening. Third down, 3 yards to go for Jesuit from the 5. To Kreller, running left. Kreller fighting, running over a tackler and getting close to his first down. Needed to get to the 2. See where the mark is officially. He's close.
Again, Jesuit not doing anything fancy, just going with a straight power game. Spreading the ball around to the different backs.
He is short by a half a yard. So it will be fourth down, and that margin for a first down, and just a couple of yards for a touchdown. Play comes in from the sideline. Jays break the huddle. Power I formation again behind Saunders. All right, here's the give, and into the end zone for a touchdown is Galemi off the right side. Todd Galemi pops it in from 2 yards out, and Jesuit increases its lead to 25-0.
You just can't ask your defense to stay on the field that long and be successful.
Simple summation from Steve Barrios. Spoken like a true offensive player as Galemi found a hole off the right side and got it in. Boy, they've got something good in this kid for years to come. Extra point attempt forthcoming from Neely. High snap, ball down, kick in the air, and Neely has converted again. Time out of the field with 2:19 to play in the ball game with our score, Jesuit 26 and Rummel nothing. This is the WSMB 1350 AM Cox Cable Prep Football Game of the Week.
Knew all along you'd get around to seeing what we've been up to in Kenna, and you won't be disappointed.
2:19 to play. The Jesuits sideline looking on happily. Kent Trahan, Steve Barrios, Lance Jacob. 26-0 our score. Boy, a host of heroes for the Blue Jays here tonight. Their defense has been so dominant. As we look at Ty Galemi's 2-yard TD run being a factor here, their defense has been so dominant, Steve, I'm inclined to think defense for player of the game. And you got some stats on that in just a moment. Here's the kickoff from Neely. It's a squib kick. Will bounce short, fielded at the 25. Fumble by Rummel. And I think the Raiders may have gotten it back at the 26-yard line. And they did. 2:12 to play.
The series for Rummel in the second half, 3 plays punt, 1 play interception, 3 plays, 7 yards, half the punt, another 3-play series, and then a 1-play safety.
I'm inclined to think defense because of that. They've just dominated the game. You know, Radiers had 2 touchdowns and run for 82 yards and done a good job. Galemi's run well. But the Jesuit defense won this football game. They try to get wide, does Rummel, and they do. 30, 35, and dragged out of bounds. Near the 40 is Christian Harvey. So Christian Harvey finds some running room before Tanner Tritico can drive him out of bounds with 2:03 to play.
Also, the defense comes up with the 2 big interceptions. They really have turned the tide for this game.
Ty Galemi, 20 carries, 98 yards, and a touchdown. So a great 1-2 punch as we suspected here this evening. On first down, running right, Harvey across the 40 to the 42. Gain of 3, maybe 4. Clock will continue to run, under 2 minutes to play. I give my vote to 96, Sean Weiss. He had a couple of sacks, was everywhere this evening, forced a number of losses, and I got to go with Sean Weiss. If I didn't, I'd go with Ryan Parrish, because he was equally as good defensively.
Sean Weiss, a good choice.
Steve and I have selected number 96, Sean Weiss, as our player of the game for Jesuit. Lance Jacob will talk with him and the victorious head coach. Conclusion of this one. Straight ahead, nothing doing on second down for Rummel. Blue Jays thinking shutout here, and they have it within their sights with 1:20 and counting. Marshawn Kenny on the stop for Jesuit. He's a kid that's going to play college football, 6'2", 220, and he plays with tremendous ferocity out there. Clock winding down toward the 1-minute mark. Well, we've got a great game for you next week. On the West Bank, Archbishop Shaw, St. Augustine, a couple of top 10 teams that do battle in a showdown that could determine the district championship, perhaps, if not 2 playoff spots. On third down, flags are down before the play can be run. That's good for Rummel because it went nowhere.
It probably took a little too much time for the play to get off.
Well, the Jesuit Blue Jays are a good football team. And I should tell you, too, that the Rummel Raiders are a better football team than what we've seen this evening. I'm not so sure Rummel's just not a little bit spent. You know, they came out of the box, played a very difficult pre-district schedule, and then started district play with Shaw and St. Aug back-to-back. They did beat De La Salle last week, but tonight it's obvious they didn't have a whole lot.
No, you're right, Ken. The competition that they played early in the season just took a lot out of them.
Third down, 12 yards to go. Raiders from their 37-yard line. 28 seconds and counting to play in this ball game. Christian Harvey is in motion to the right. They give him the football. Harvey finds some running room, breaks a tackle. Nice cut across midfield. Stumbles ahead to about the 48-yard line. Appears to have a first down. Ben Tarantino on the stop with 16 seconds left. Our story, Jesuit 26-0 over Rummel. And Raiders may run another play, they may not. This one's winding down, and they may not get another play off. We've got 10 seconds and counting here, and the Jesuit Blue Jays are going to get it done in impressive fashion here tonight. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. Rummel is getting this play off, giving it to the wingback. Quito runs away from one tackler, reverses his field the other way, gets a block. Back to the 50, to the 45, to the 40. Determined young man to the 35, to 34, and this one's over. And the Jesuit Blue Jays have defeated the Rummel Raiders in convincing fashion by the score of 26-0 here this evening. The Blue Jays improving to 5-2 on the year, 2-1 in District 10-5A, while the Rummel Raiders fall to 3-4, and more importantly, 1-3 in district play as a result of the loss. And this one was just totally dominated by the Blue Jays here this evening, Steve, and they really were all over poor Rick Kalmata.
Really was. He was sacked something like 6 times tonight, intercepted twice. Just a total defense domination by the Jesuit Blue Jays. after the Rummel's first series, they could really get nothing on track. Just got to give it to the Jays. They really dominated.
Yeah, they knocked him out of the game as well, and he did come back, but just couldn't get it going here this evening as Jesuit wins it 26-0. Our final score. We'll take a timeout here. We'll be back in just a moment on the WSMB Cox Cable Prep Football Game of the Week.
Prep football on Cox Cable was brought to you by Bone Ford in New Orleans, your 15-minute confidence dealership. Kenner on the move. Friday Night Football on WGNO-TV, Channel 26. And Cox Cable Jefferson Parish, guaranteed star quality.
This fall, there's a new force in local sports. Friday Night Football, hosted by Ed Daniels and J.T. Curtis, Louisiana's winningest prep football coach. The only place for Big Easy sports fans to catch the complete high school football story.
For 15 weeks, all the way to the state championship finals at the Dome, we'll bring you the most complete coverage of prep football in the state.
Friday Night Football, live, Friday nights at 10:30 on WGNO-TV, Channel 26.
At the Pontchartrain Center in Kenner, 5 cents goes a long way. The Pontchartrain Center has over 35,000 square feet of exhibit space and 6 spacious meeting rooms, all for just 5 cents a square foot. If you're looking for a place to hold your next convention, meeting, seminar, or banquet, Kenner's Pontchartrain Center is New Orleans' newest meeting alternative. All meal functions are catered by Marie's to assure the finest in banquet cuisine. When you're looking for a quality convention or meeting facility with affordable rates, call the Pontchartrain Center in Kenner.
Impact, reach, frequency. Not just measures of advertising effectiveness, but a promise cable TV delivers day and night. With exclusive off-network series and entertainment specials of all kinds, cable's audience tunes in more often. An upscale local audience with greater purchasing power. And after all, isn't that who you should be talking to? Cable TV. Advertisers are getting the picture.
At Bone Ford in New Orleans, we turned our emergency into your advantage. Now the street at Bone Ford in New Orleans at South Broad in Washington is clear, and Bone Ford is easy to get to. But the sale's not over. Every car will be drastically reduced. Every truck will have big savings. And on every van, you'll save more. Bring your title, special financing, appraisers on duty. Selection is big, so come to the original Bone Ford in New Orleans. Buy with confidence. Buy at Bone Ford, your 15-minute dealership in New Orleans. Bone Ford.
Our final score again here this evening at Tag Gormley Stadium was the Jesuit Blue Jays 26 and the Rummel Raiders nothing. Jesuit 5-2 now overall. They are 2-1 in district play, while Rummel drops to 3-4 and 1-3 in district play. Total dominance by the Blue Jays, Steve.
The defense just took it to the Rummel offense. The Rummel only had one good possession offensively. After that, it was all Blue Jay defense. The big turnovers, they just totally dominated.
Defense the key. Right now, we're going to go down to the field for our Cox Cable ESPN Player of the Game presentation and a trophy from AAA Trophies to our Player of the Game. Along with our Player of the Game and the head coach of the Jesuit Blue Jays is our field reporter, Lance Jacob.
Thanks, gentlemen. I'm standing here with Sean Weiss, but first-year coach at Jesuit, Mark Sunji. Coach really turned it into I guess you would say, a really physical battle.
It took us a while to get going. We had a good drive. The first opening drive was a pretty good drive on offense, and we came back and they shut us down a little bit. But our defense really kept us in there. Our defense played fantastic tonight. Kept going after them. We got a shutout. It was just a great defensive effort, and then offensive line turned it on later on. The backs turned it on, and we were able to keep the ball away from them and still get a lot of yardage out of it and end up going in the end zone a few times.
Now, before the game, I heard this team start chanting 42-7, 42-7. You guys wanted this bad.
Well, we sure did. After last year, they beat us by 35 points, kind of humiliated us, and we felt like it shouldn't have been that bad last year, but at the same time, we let it get out of hand, and they were a very good football team, no doubt, but we wanted a little bit of revenge, a little bit of payback, and we came out here and got it tonight. Our kids were really motivated and played well.
Coach, can't talk enough about the defense and this young man, Sean Weiss, but 3 downs and out, and they really started to get tired, and you just took it to them.
No doubt. We kept after them pretty good on defense. Came up with some very big plays, 2 interceptions, set up touchdowns. Really kind of stifled them, though, and I thought we were going to have a little bit more trouble than we did with them, but our defense came to play, and we're real happy about that.
Well, Coach, on behalf of your team and Sean Weiss, we're going to present you with this AAA trophy out in Kenner, and that's a commemoration of this game. Congratulations to victory. We'll talk to Sean.
Thank
just
you
a minute.
very much, Sean. Congratulations.
Sean, this team wanted this bad, didn't it?
Oh, yes, sir. We did. We held it right in our hearts the whole time. Like was already said, last year's game to the seniors, this game meant a whole lot because of last year. And the coaches teach to play with your heart. And I think that's what everybody did. Gave 100% the whole time. And the results were on the scoreboard.
Let's talk a little about their first drive. Rummel had a little success running on you guys, getting some yards, but then you guys kind of adjusted, and you took it over from there.
We stuck to the game plan, and like I said, the coaches prepared us the best way they knew how, and the game plan worked. We just had to adjust a little bit, and we took it to them. It was a good game.
Well, congratulations to you. We're going to present your school with the ESPN game ball on behalf of your play, and your school will be getting that. Congratulations. Thanks. That'll do it from the field level here, Kenny and Steve. A very good game for the Jesuit Blue Jays. Like they said, they wanted payback. They would not be denied after losing 42-7 last year. Back up to you, Ken.
All right, thank you very much, Lance Jacob, and a good job as always. Sean Weiss, very well-spoken young man. Nice to hear kids when they can handle themselves so well in front of the camera, Steve.
That's true. He even said yes, sir, to Lance Jacob. So that shows a good upbringing, good manners, and I like what he said about playing with your heart. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, big effort by the Blue Jays here tonight. Disappointing for Rummel. The Raiders will be back. They have a pretty good football team, folks, but Jesuit may have a future here this year. They played extremely well tonight in winning 26-0 to move to 5-2 overall, 2-1 in the district. And Steve, we stay in this league next week for what should be an outstanding football game, Shaw and St. Aug.